I found out my cousin stole my life savings, so I made her regret it. I don't even know where to start. I guess with the basics. I'm 27, and up until 6 months ago, I honestly thought my cousin Jess was my closest friend. We grew up together. Her mom and my mom are sisters, so every family holiday was a shared event. Jess and I always clicked, probably because we were both only children. She'd sleep over almost every weekend when we were kids. As adults, we even got matching tattoos. A tiny paper crane on our wrists, a symbol of always having each other's backs. I believed that. God, I was so naive. Life after college wasn't smooth for either of us, but I was the saver, always hustling, picking up side gigs, skipping out on little luxuries so I could finally move out and maybe even travel. Jess wasn't. She bounced between jobs, sometimes staying at my apartment, just until she got back on her feet. There were red flags, sure, late rent. Borrowed cash never returned. But I brushed it off because, well, she was family. It all changed the day I logged into my savings account and saw a zero balance. Not low, not overdraft. Zero. I felt physically sick. All my plans, gone, wiped out overnight. At first, I thought it was a mistake, maybe a glitch or a hack. Then the bank showed me the withdrawal slips, and the handwriting on the signature line hit me like a punch to the gut. It was Jess's. I sat there, numb, staring at the proof that the one person I trusted most had gutted my entire future. And that's when something inside me snapped. I decided right then that she was going to regret this. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just kept replaying every moment Jess had ever asked for help. Every, "I'll pay you back." I swear that never happened. I almost convinced myself there had to be some explanation. Maybe she was in trouble. Perhaps she meant to put it back. I even drafted a dozen texts and deleted them all. By morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I called her. When she picked up, her voice was all cheerful. "Hey, what's up?" Like nothing was wrong. My hands were shaking. "Jess, did you take money from my savings?" Silence. A pause so long I thought the call dropped. "What? No. Why would you even say that?" She finally blurted out, instantly on the defensive. I told her about the withdrawal slips and how her handwriting was right there. She got quiet, then suddenly started crying. I didn't mean to. I just needed help. I was going to tell you, but then everything spiraled. "Please, I'll get it back to you, I promise." But I knew Jess. Promises from her meant nothing. She started spinning excuses. Her car broke down. She owed some guy money. She was desperate. She kept saying, "We're family, right? You always said we'd have each other's backs." The same words as our matching tattoos. For a moment, I almost caved. I wanted to believe her, to just let it go. But then I remembered all the times she'd let me down, and I realized this wasn't just a one-time thing. She stole from me because she thought she could get away with it. She counted on me forgiving her. That was the moment I knew. If I let this slide, she'd never learn. I told her I needed time to think, then hung up. I had no idea what to do next, but I knew forgiving her wasn't an option. After that phone call, I tried to go about my day like normal, but everything felt off. Even my apartment felt different, like Jess's betrayal had left a mark on everything she'd ever touched. I kept picturing her sleeping on my couch, eating my food, laughing at inside jokes, while all the while, she'd known exactly what she'd done. But one thing about me, when I get hurt, I get focused. I started digging. First, I went through my bank statements and realized Jess had been siphoning off small amounts for months, not just the big final withdrawal. She must have figured I wouldn't notice, and honestly, I hadn't. Not until it was all gone. My stomach turned at the thought. How many times had she sat across from me, acting like everything was normal? I checked her social media. Suddenly, all those treat yourself posts, new shoes, dinners out, a weekend at a spa, looked different. She'd even posted a selfie at a concert I couldn't afford to go to because I was saving money. I screenshotted everything, building a timeline. My anger grew with each click. I realized she hadn't just stolen my savings, she'd stolen my trust, my sense of safety. Jess had counted on me not noticing, or at least not fighting back. But that's where she miscalculated. The next day, I went to my parents. I needed to hear their take, but mostly, I just needed support. Telling them was like ripping off a bandage. My mom cried. My dad was furious. "That girl's got to pay it back," he said. "You can't let this go." I agreed. I wasn't letting it go. I just didn't know how far I was willing to go yet. Word got out faster than I expected. By the end of the week, half the family knew. I'd never seen my mom so devastated. She and Jess's mom, my Aunt Linda, had always been close. Now, every family group chat was on fire with speculation. Aunt Linda texted me late at night. There must be some mistake. Jess would never do that. I wanted to believe her, but the evidence was undeniable. That weekend, there was a family dinner planned for Grandpa's birthday, something we never missed. I almost skipped it, but Dad said, "You should be there. Don't let her drive you away from your own family." So, I went, stomach twisted in knots. The second Jess walked in, the energy changed. She didn't look at me. She hovered near the kitchen, avoiding everyone, phone glued to her hand. Aunt Linda tried to act normal, but her eyes were red and puffy. People kept glancing at me, whispering. It felt like everyone was waiting for a showdown. I tried to keep it together. But during dinner, Grandpa, who never sugarcoats anything, looked right at Jess and asked, "What's this about you stealing money?" The room went dead silent. Jess froze. "I didn't," she started, but her voice cracked. I could see she was shaking. I wanted to feel sorry for her, but I couldn't, not after what she'd done. Aunt Linda tried to jump in, saying there was some misunderstanding, but Grandpa just shook his head. I sat there, feeling both vindicated and deeply sad. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about trust, loyalty, and the ugly side of family. And I still had no idea how to get my life back, or if I even could. After that disastrous dinner, things escalated fast. Jess stopped answering my calls and blocked me on Instagram. Aunt Linda sent me this long, guilt-trippy text, "Families forgive. Please don't destroy Jess's future over a mistake." She begged me to just let it go, for the sake of family peace. Meanwhile, my mom was furious at her sister for trying to sweep things under the rug. The tension was unreal. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach clenched. I heard from mutual friends that Jess was telling everyone I was overreacting. That she only took the money because she thought I'd lend it to her anyway, that she was going to pay me back as soon as she could. She was painting me as some kind of villain, obsessed with money. I started getting weird texts from people I barely knew. "Hey, heard you and Jess had a falling out? Hope you guys work it out." It was clear she was spreading her version of the story to everyone who would listen, making herself out to be the victim. That hurt almost as much as the theft itself. I realized that Jess's whole life was built on lies, little ones, big ones, whatever it took to keep people on her side. It made me question every memory, every secret we'd shared. I wanted to confront her, really make her see what she'd done. But it was obvious she'd never admit it, not unless she was forced to. That's when I decided I needed real proof. More than screenshots or withdrawal slips. If Jess wanted a war, she was about to get one. I spent days obsessing over every detail. Jess thought she was safe, hiding behind her web of excuses and family guilt trips. But the more I dug, the more determined I became to force the truth out into the open, not just for me, but for everyone she'd ever manipulated. First, I contacted my bank's fraud department and asked for the security footage from the days those withdrawals were made. It took some persistence, and a lot of this is about a family betrayal tears. But eventually, they agreed to let me review the footage in person. I'll never forget the chill I felt watching the grainy video. There was Jess, clear as day, wearing my old hoodie, walking up to the counter like she owned the place. I took photos of the screen with my phone, ironclad evidence. Next, I decided to make things public. I wrote a calm, factual post on Facebook, tagging Jess and explaining exactly what happened. I included screenshots, my timeline, and a cropped still from the security footage. I told everyone that this wasn't just about money. It was about trust. I ended with, "I can forgive mistakes, but not lies. If anyone else has been hurt by Jess, you're not alone." It was risky. I knew some people would judge me for airing dirty laundry. But within an hour, my inbox exploded with messages. Some were angry. "How could you do this to family?" But others thanked me. A few even shared their own stories about Jess, unpaid debts, ghosted promises, and similar borrowings that were never returned. Jess finally texted me furious. "You're ruining my life. Take it down now, or I'll never speak to you again." That hurt, but I didn't back down. For the first time, I felt a strange sense of control. The truth was finally out. The days after my post felt unreal. Half my family stopped speaking to me. Aunt Linda blocked my number, and cousins who'd always liked me suddenly went silent. But others quietly reached out to say they supported me, even if they didn't want to get involved. My parents stood firmly by my side, and that meant everything. Jess tried to save face. She posted a sob story about betrayal and being misunderstood, but the security footage was impossible to deny. Friends started unfollowing her. I heard she called her job sick for a week. The walls were closing in, and for once, she couldn't just talk her way out of it. What surprised me most was how many people had stories about Jess, small things at first. Someone's missing headphones, a roommate's rent money that mysteriously disappeared, and promises to pay for concert tickets that never materialized. I realized this was a pattern. I wasn't her first victim, just the first to push back hard enough. The family drama peaked when Grandpa called a family meeting. He'd never done anything like this before. Sitting in his living room, Jess barely looked at anyone. Aunt Linda clung to her hand. My mom squeezed my shoulder as Grandpa asked, "Jess, did you steal the money?" She started crying, mumbling half-truths and deflections. The old Jess would have gotten away with it. But now, with the evidence and witnesses, nobody bought it. She finally blurted, "I needed it. I didn't think it would matter this much. I'm sorry, okay?" Nobody said a word. The silence was heavier than any shouting could have been. After Jess's tearful admission, the family meeting ended in awkward silence. No hugs, no forgiveness, just a lot of red eyes and angry glances. Aunt Linda tried to comfort Jess, but even she looked exhausted, her faith in her daughter shaken. I left early, my mind spinning. For days, I waited for Jess to reach out and try to make things right. Instead, I got a curt Venmo request, $50 for emotional damages. It felt like a slap in the face. Any hope I had for a real apology died right then. The next week was lonely. Some relatives made it clear they blamed me for humiliating Jess, while others kept their distance, not wanting to pick a side. My parents urged me to focus on myself, my job, my friends, and rebuilding my savings. But it wasn't that easy. Every time I looked at my empty bank account, I thought about all the plans I'd lost. Every time my phone buzzed, I braced myself for another passive-aggressive text. But a funny thing happened. As the dust settled, I started to feel lighter. I didn't have to cover for Jess's mistakes anymore. I didn't have to lie to my parents about her borrowing money or worry if my stuff would go missing. For the first time in ages, I felt free. People who truly cared stuck around. My best friend took me out for ice cream, refusing to talk about anything except dumb memes and cute dogs. My boss let me pick up extra shifts. Even Grandpa, who never gets emotional, called just to say, "You did the right thing, kid." Maybe I'd lost a cousin, but I was starting to find myself again. A few weeks passed, and Jess stayed quiet. Family events felt weird, smaller, more awkward, with Aunt Linda shooting me dagger looks across every table. My mom kept trying to fix things, but I told her that some things you can't fix with a casserole and a heart-to-heart. I focused on rebuilding. I met with a financial advisor, learned how to set up better safeguards, and opened a new account with tighter security. The bank couldn't get my money back. Jess had withdrawn it all in cash, but they flagged her for fraud, which would haunt her credit for years. Part of me felt bad for her, but mostly, I was tired of cleaning up her messes. Then, one rainy Sunday, Jess showed up at my apartment. No warning. She stood there in the hallway, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "I'm not here to fight," she said. I'm sorry. I messed up. I was desperate and stupid, and I thought you'd always forgive me. I get it if you hate me." I wanted to scream at her, but all the anger had burned out. Instead, I listened. She admitted to stealing not just from me, but from others, too. She said she was getting help, counseling, and a support group. She didn't ask for forgiveness, only said, "You deserved better from me." I believed her for once. But I also knew we could never go back to how things were. I told her I hoped she'd get better, but I needed distance. As she left, I felt a strange sense of peace. Closure isn't always a hug or a handshake. Sometimes, it's a door quietly closing behind you. It's been a few months since everything blew up. Jess and I aren't close anymore, and maybe we never will be. She's working through her issues, or so I hear from the family grapevine. Aunt Linda still won't speak to me, but most of the family has started to move on, letting the drama fade into an uncomfortable memory. For a while, I was angry at everyone. At Jess, at Aunt Linda, at myself for not seeing the signs. But slowly, I started to let go. Therapy helped. So did late-night talks with friends who never once made me feel like I was too harsh or overreacting. The support I got from people who cared kept me afloat. I'm back to saving, one paycheck at a time. My new rule: trust, but verify. And never ignore red flags, no matter how much you love someone. I wish I could say I came out of this stronger, but honestly, it just made me wiser and maybe a little sadder. Family isn't always what you think it is. Sometimes, the people you'd bet your life on will be the ones to hurt you most. But I'm not letting this define me. I've started traveling, doing the things I put off for years. I laugh more now, even if it's bittersweet. And if anyone out there reads this and sees themselves in my story, here's what I wish I'd known. Your peace matters more than keeping the family peace. You don't owe anyone silence in exchange for your dignity. If you're ever betrayed like this, know that it's okay to put yourself first. It's okay to say enough. And sometimes, the real victory isn't revenge. It's building a life you can be proud of, with or without the people who hurt you. Thanks for reading my story. I hope it helps someone out there feel less alone.